good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are just waiting a couple of minutes so everyone can join. We will start the meeting soon. Please stay here with us.
Danny, I think I saw Shruti joined.
Yes, she's here. Hi, Shruti.
Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you? Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for joining us today. We are just waiting a couple of minutes so everyone can join. People are still waiting in the lobby. They are joining slowly.
Shruti, I've just sent you a message on Teams.
Okay, I'll just check it, Sachin. Thanks.
Looks good. It's a full room. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Just waiting a couple of minutes, maybe 1 or 2 minutes more.
Daniel, while we're waiting for the participants to join, do I have the presenter rights? Because I have a deck that I would love to share with everybody.
Danny, the question is to you. Danny?
Sorry?
Shruti is asking, does she have a presenter right? Because she has a deck that she wants to share.
Yes, of course. Shruti, we can't see you on camera yet, just to let you know, but I will start with an introduction and I will introduce yourself and then you can share your screen after that. Oh, yeah, there you are. Good. Okay, everyone, let me start sharing my screen.
He's still on mute, Shruti, just so you know.
Okay, everyone, hopefully you can see my screen now. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Thank you so much for joining us for today's sessions on tech. Just a second. Let me mute everyone. Okay. Let me share my screen again. Oh. Just a second, everyone. I'm having troubles with my sharing screen. Let me do it again. Yeah, there you go. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's sessions on technology and innovation in Canadian finance, emerging opportunities. My name is Danielle Vidal, and I'm the program manager for Canada InfoNet at JVS Toronto. We are proud to partner with CIBC to bring you this webinar designed to help you navigate the evolving financial landscape and discover new careers opportunities. In this session, we will explore how technological advancements and innovative strategies are shaping the finance industry in Canada. We will discuss emerging trends, involving skill sets, and strategies to help you stay competitive in this dynamic sector. Our goal with this webinar is to equip you with the knowledge and confidence to seize new opportunities in Canadian finance. We encourage you to ask questions, share your thoughts, and engage with our speaker throughout the webinar. But first, let's start with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. So some housekeeping guidelines before we start the session. So this session is being recorded and the length is approximately 1 hour. All participants' lines will be mute, so please mute yourself if you haven't done this yet. Q&A opportunity will be available at the end of the session. You can type questions in the chat window or raise your hand to ask them during the Q&A time. Please take time to complete our post-webinar survey, and the recording will be shared with you later. And at last but not the least, some of us are hosting from home, so please be patient with us. We are thrilled to have Shruti Awasthi, Director of Open Banking Strategy at CIBC, as our keynote speaker. She will share valuable insights on the future of finance and how you can position yourself for success in a tech-driven industry. As an immigrant woman herself, Shruti understands the unique challenges that women face in the workplace and has dedicated herself to fostering an inclusive, empowering environment where women can thrive. Shruti is a passionate advocate for women's development, actively championing gender diversity and inclusion through her leadership. As a co-lead of the Women's Network Circle and the International Professionals Network, one of the largest affinity networks within CIBC, she consistently creates opportunities to celebrate the accomplishments of women, amplify their voice, and advocate for initiatives that drive meaningful progress. Recently, she launched her podcast, The Sun-Kissed Souls, which features women sharing their life stories and experiences. This podcast is available on all major platforms, including Spotify and Apple Music, further amplifying women's voices and narratives. Shruti, it's a pleasure having you here with us today. Thank you so much. I will give you the floor to you.
My goodness, thank you so much, Danielle. It was such beautifully crafted introduction, and I am actually a little embarrassed. But hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on today's webinar. My job today is to let you know what is happening in the Canadian financial sector, what are the emerging technologies and trends, and how as employers, we look for skills in newcomers to come and bridge those opportunity gaps with us. So if you'll bear with me, I have a small deck presentation to share with all of you. And since this is a recorded session, you will have a copy of this with you. So the topic that we thought would be really helpful for the audience today is technology and innovation in Canadian finance and the emerging opportunities. As Danielle said, I have the privilege of being the Director for Open Banking Strategy at CIBC. And what I do by virtue of my mandate is threefold. First, I have this unique proposition of working with the Canadian government, the federal government, and the Department of Finance on creating a roadmap for open banking for Canada. The second part of my mandate is to help and develop infrastructure both within the banks as well as within the fintech ecosystem and for our consumers and credit unions to be able to plug into these new technologies. And the third part of my mandate is education and empowerment, educating the bank's leadership on the value for all of these new technological innovation and why should Canada, more specifically at CIBC, we should be embracing all of it. The second part is around empowerment, and that is empowering newcomers like yourselves who bring in a wealth of experience, a wealth of international information, and how can we literally utilize all of that to co-create an ecosystem where we have the good talent and the good skill sets, giving us an opportunity to develop and make Canada one of the stronger economies in the G7 space. Why do I say about the G7? Because if you look at the G7 countries today, Canada is the only country which does not have a very functional digital identity or an open banking system. And so that really puts us at a disadvantage when we try to compete with economies like the US, the European Union, and so on and so forth. The other thing, while it is very important for the newcomers to understand the technological innovation in banking services, because technology has reformed the way banking has happened in the last 50 years. So think about a time when your parents used to bank, the only default option was to go into a branch and then talk to a teller or talk to a financial services representative and think about their needs. And it was a lot of verbal information exchange with a lot of manual input. And so A, it is prone to errors, B, it is prone to interpretation, and C, it is not very accurate. And also it is very time consuming and time intensive. Given that we all have moved towards digital and our love for digital apps like Facebook and Instagram, banking also needed to transform itself. So now if I look at banking today, I'm assuming that most of you had just been to your bank to open up your bank accounts while you do most of your banking online, at least I do. And so that shift from a brick and mortar structure to a semi-digital banking to now mostly self-serve banking, there are a lot of underlying technologies that have made that possible. And so it is very important for us who are looking at a longer term career trajectory, maybe another 10 to 15 years, to A, understand that technology, B, understand the underlying principles, and C, prepare ourselves for the new job of today. Because banking no longer just requires people in the branches. In fact, I should tell you that most of the Canadian large financial banks, such as CIBC, we have more than 50,000 employees. And out of those 50,000 employees, there are 10,000 people sitting in the head office environment like myself who are enabling the branch banking to function the way it is today. So there are numerous opportunities and roles. We just need to have that mindset that A, I'm going to embrace the change, B, I'm going to keep up with the change, and C, how can I contribute more? So with those very basic foundational aspects, let's dive into today's webinar. So what I would love to focus on today and what you can expect from the webinar today is threefold. You will be able to understand all the key trends that are happening in the Canadian financial sector today. Now, some of you who come from other economies, such as India, because I come from India and I worked in Dubai for a bit, is you would see that these trends are already there in those markets, but the Canadian economy has not been able to appreciate them as such. So that's where we can plug in our core skill sets and our transferable skills to bring those up to speed in Canada. The second is, what are the real world applications of these underlying technologies into financial services? And the third is, most definitely, I know that most of the team here is newcomers. So you would be looking for either you're getting your first foot into the door, getting your first Canadian job, or maybe just getting a promotion or getting to a level where you want to be in your career. So career opportunities. So the first is key trends in financial technology. You would notice that I kept open banking on the top because that's closest to my heart. So the first key trend, and this is something that I've been working with the government for the past 2.5 years, is how do we create an open banking network for Canada? And why is that important? So people usually understand open banking by way of embedded finance or by way of BNPL opportunities, but that's not what open banking is. Open banking is a technical capability where you, as a consumer, are able to share your financial data, say all of your transaction data, all of your credit card data, with another third-party application without using your credentials. Now, you would read through as you open a bank account, every bank across the globe will tell you never share your password, never share your user ID with anybody. But unfortunately, what happens is when you want to use a fintech app like a Wealthsimple or a Borrowwell or a Mint or a PFM app like Walnut, what you do is inadvertently, they ask you to log in your financial information on their interface. And what can lead to is A, they have access to now your user ID and password. And if you're not somebody who changes your password regularly, what they do is they come to the bank using your credentials and log into your banking information and scrape all of your information and present to you into something like, hey, Shruti, you spent $30 on Starbucks over a week. This is how you can save. All that information is great, but I do not want my passwords to be saved by another third-party app. Why is that dangerous? And why should all of you be very careful and skeptical is tomorrow if there's a breach that happens, the bank will not be liable because you willfully shared your password with somebody else. And today we do not have the option of saying no if you log in using your password, your credential, your multi-factor authentication. I have no third means to stop you from doing that transaction. So that is why open banking has revolutionized banking in the Europe. It started in the UK, very well adopted within the Middle East and India and all the emerging economies. And so that's why we need open banking in Canada, because that will allow for our consumers to securely share their third-party information without having to change their user IDs and passwords with them. So, and how can open banking help? So, because it's not just a technology capability, it's also having real-time value. So A, I get real-time information about my transactions and services. B, I can automate my savings that can analyze my spending patterns and analyze my budgeting options. B, it also helps me in debt management solutions because now I can bring together multiple accounts, and I know, okay, because I have 5 bank accounts today, I'm not able to fully understand what are my assets versus my liabilities. How much money am I making versus how many credit card payments am I doing through Scotia, TD, BMO, RBC, or CIBC? Open banking will help you consolidate all of that information on one platform. So you would be able to say, okay, I made $3,000 bi-weekly, but out of this, I'm actually spending $2,500 divided into these many banks and divided into these many products. So it can give you a 360-degree view of who you are as a consumer, what your spending pattern is, and what is your savings pattern is as well. Now, the third thing where open banking has actually revolutionized in a lot of countries where there has been underbanked citizens is around credit score monitoring services that provides real-time updates and improvement so that if you're faltering behind on your payments, we actually give you a prompt to say, hey, Shruti, you have $100 sitting in your account and you have a $50 bill coming up. Why don't you pay the bill first and then spend? So it is just these very small nuances and prompts that we give to our consumers who are not that financially savvy to help them plan their finances better. So that's open banking and APIs. APIs are the underlying application programming interfaces. So what we do is we pinch our data through all of those APIs. So there could be a secure API to API transfer instead of doing a file transfer protocol or an FTP server or a secure server. So that's what open banking and APIs do, is to create a secure, self-serving, customer-oriented financial data ecosystem. Now, the second one is my favorite right now at the moment because everybody seems to be talking about artificial intelligence and AI and automation. And I'm sure everybody on the call would have used now ChatGPT prompts to, redo your resumes according to the job profile or the job description that you've been applying for. But the applications and ramifications for banking is even more. So AI-driven chatbots and robo-advisors have actually reduced the workload on our contact centers or our call centers because almost all the banking apps and almost all of your food delivery apps are now using chatbots to get you answers to some of your frequently asked questions or your FAQs. Now, there are some fintech organizations as well who are doing a fantastic job of robo-advisory, like Wealthsimple, that they use algorithms to provide automated investment advice and portfolio management. AI can also help us with fraud detection because there are certain AI algorithms and large language models that we can use to ascertain whether this behavior is typical for the customer or there is something new that we are seeing. And if there is a new behavior, like say, for example, your base location is Canada, but all of a sudden I see that you are, or there's a login attempt from, say, South America, or there's a login attempt from Middle East, I would be able to send you a multi-factor authentication email just to cross-check that, hey, Sachin, I see that you usually bank from Canada. We see that you're in a new location. Do you want us to go ahead and give you the access rights to your account? And by virtue of doing those AI algorithm models, what we do is we create this trust in the customer that your bank is not merely to provide you services, but we also try to keep your account safe and secure. Like I said, chatbots have actually reduced and are able to handle most of our client queries. And so reducing wait times and improving customer experience overall. So that's the work that AI does. In terms of automation, we are also able to do a lot of robotic process automations or RPAs based on machine learning. And we are also able to automate a lot of backend processes in the bank. So for example, initially when we used to receive a check, you have to find an ATM machine or go to a branch and deposit the check and wait for 5 days to get your own money back that you should have done in real time. What automation has done based on machine learning algorithms and RPA is that you're able to deposit your check on your phone, and by virtue of scanning your signatures and doing a recheck on the payee versus the payer, we are able to ascertain the money that is owed by you within real time, like in less than 5 hours. So that all work has been reduced by using all of this new technology. Now, the third one is where I actually grew up in my career, which is digital payments and fintech growth. Digital wallets, contactless payments, and blockchain technology have redefined transactions and security. So I'm sure you all enjoy going on to your LCBO shoppings or going to Loblaws, and all you need to do is to take out your card and just tap it. But that tap is based on near-field communication technology, which is also called as NFC. And contactless has been one of the biggest technological innovation in credit cards, because credit cards is a very physical product. So earlier, you used to have the physical product in your wallet, and then whenever you're using any merchant for any transaction, what you need to do is you need to look at the wallet and you need to figure out which card will give you the best revenue and stuff like that. With Apple and Google opening up their wallets, you can store all of your credit cards in digital format. And sometimes, if you use the right open banking and AI application on top of it, it can actually give you a prompt to say, hey, you are actually at a Tim Hortons. Why don't you use your dividend card, which will give you a better cash back than using your Aeroplan, which you can use for travel? So all of that is now embedded in the next best action techniques or the client service emails that we send out to our clients. And so this is how digital payments and fintech growth has actually helped us. The second factor where we see a lot of growth right now, and I'm pretty sure all of you must have heard about it or used it at some point in time, is the BNPL, which is buy now, pay later. There's a lot going on in this space with the likes of the world of Square and Stripe and Afterpay, where 74% of European retailers are actually providing this opportunity. There's a number of Canadian firms and players who are also doing this, whereby you buy $100 product today, but you do not need to make the whole $100 payment right away. What you can do is you can break that down into installments and then pay again. Now, that is also underlying on the technology that there's an underwriting team who underwrites the whole $100, breaks it into installments, and then gives you an easy access to those products and services. I'm sorry, is there a question? Okay, I'll continue.
No,
If
I
in case
don't.
there's a question, yeah, please feel free to raise your hand. I won't be able to see your hand, but Danielle, if you can help me.
Sure, sure. Yeah, we will save questions for the end, Shruti. So yeah,
Perfect.
thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks. And then a total nightmare for me as a business leader, but an absolute necessity of the business is regulatory technology and cybersecurity. The reason I say it's a nightmare because every time I try to launch something in open banking or AI space, my regulators and my compliance friends are the first one to say, hey, we cannot do X because of this, and this. But I also know as a business leader that where they're coming from is actually the right space for us to focus on, because as business leaders, we are a little bit delusional sometimes, and we feel that the art of the possible is innumerate, whereas our regulatory and our technology and our cybersecurity friends keep us very, very grounded into some real life risks that can not only hurt our clients, but also hurt our shareholders. So regulatory tech is a new form of compliance monitoring, where there are softwares out there which can help you understand what the compliance measurement is looking like, what are you supposed to do by virtue of your regulator, and then are you meeting the basic compliance guidelines or not. There is advanced analytics that are used by RegTech platforms that can do a real-time assessment of your risk versus gains. There is also something like a third-party risk assessment that we all go through once we are trying to highlight a new vendor. And then there is real-time monitoring of systems that quickly identify and respond to cybersecurity breaches and incident management and info security breaches. And so to combat all of that, you would see that a lot of new technology is being adopted by the banks at a very rapid rate. For example, biometric and multi-factor authentication. I don't know how many of you use the CIBC banking app, but if you do, you have the ability to never key in your password and just use the facial recognition technology to log into your bank account, which is by far the safest technology. We also have something called as voice recognition. So when you call into our contact centers, the first time that you call in, we ask you that, are you good for us to do a voice printing and save that voice printing for future users? And if you say yes to that prompt, what we do is we analyze your voice into 7D and we do a voice printing for you. And what that voice recognition does is, like everybody has a unique thumbprint, everybody has a unique facial recognition features, everybody has a unique voice imprint. So the next time when you call into your contact center, we never ask you to verify yourselves because we are able to verify your voice. The third thing is multi-factor authentication that I've already touched upon. So multi-factor authentication basically says that if I get your password and if you're still logging in from your IP address, what additional measures can I put into place to make sure that you are the rightful owner of the rightful account and it is not being hacked? So we send you email OTPs, we send you OTPs on your phone, we ask you to answer a security question. That all is just added cybersecurity measures to make sure that your account is never compromised, because we understand that how important every single dollar that you have in your account is, and it matters to you. So because we are in the banking technology, we have to be very, very careful of every single thing that we introduce should have to be reducing the risk for our clients while giving them a superior client experience. Moving on, what's in it for you guys? Why should you be excited about all the technology and the trends? Is because there are a plethora of new roles and opportunities in the space. And I'm pretty sure that given the right amount of training, getting the right amount of education and upskilling, all of us can actually foray into the financial services technology space like I have. So the first one is data analyst and AI specialist. With the onset of AI, I would say the first thing that I look for anybody to hire in my team is, do you have basic understanding of using an AI prompt? The second thing is data scientist. You would see a lot of banks hiring for data scientists because we have realized that banking institutions have data way back up to 150 years. And sometimes we are not the best and we are not the experts in exploring that data, warehousing that data, mining that data, and bringing out the right outcomes and the right insights to help our clients. So that's why all of the banks in Canada, you would see, are hiring data scientists or data engineers, because we want predictive models and algorithms for financial oversight for all of our clients. And this is like a hot cake job opportunity. I've already touched upon the AI powered and the AI prompt engineers. The second and the third one is the qualitative and the quantitative analyst. So not only are you able to understand data, are you able to create predictive propensity or probabilistic modeling for us, but you're also able to apply mathematical and statistical methods to financial analysis. And that's where a lot of our financial advisors, or FAs as we call them, are doing their CPA, but also doing something on the mathematical and standardization side as well. The second job opportunity group is cybersecurity experts. Because banking has moved from brick and mortar to digital, there is no denying the fact that there's a lot more frauds happening in the digital space because hackers and fraudsters are always a step ahead. Cybersecurity experts actually help us keep our banking environment safe, our website safe, and deliver a superior client experience by checking in for the right identity and access management tools for our clients. So cybersecurity fintech analyst will conduct vulnerability assessments and implement security measures for all of our platforms. Identity and access management is a huge part of our online and digital channels. And so our IAM people will actually design and manage secure authentication systems for our services. And last but not the least, cybersecurity incidents response analyst and specialist. They know how to handle and mitigate security breaches in real time and report to the regulators. So that's another pillar. If somebody's interested in info security, cybersecurity, incident management, this stream is for them. Now, the third stream is product managers and UX designers. There's a lot of growing demand of product management experts. And so fintech product manager will oversee the development and launch of financial technology products. You also have to manage the end-to-end life cycle of a financial services product, which is very different from, say, an F&B product or a white goods product. Because in financial services product, there is no sunsetting of the product unless the client specifically says and comes back to us and wants to close a deal or wants to surrender over the product. So it's an ever-evolving, ever-growing product line. We also are hiring a lot of digital banking UX designers because we have understood that offering digital banking services is one pillar, but creating an exceptional client experience and a very intuitive UI design will actually help us get more leads and help us deepen our relationship with the clients by franchising them. So UX designers help us create an intuitive interface for core integrated banking features and services that we offer through our platforms. And the third one in the pillar would be a payment solution product owner. So somebody who has a very good knack of understanding the payment schemes like Visa and MasterCard, understands the PCI DSS compliance, understands how a credit card and a debit card works and e-transfers and wires work and wallets work. These people will be the product owners because they will develop and manage the digital products and services, which are very different from the typical banking products and services that we usually give to our customers, like current accounts and savings account, mortgages, auto loans. Because these products are more digital in nature, they require a certain level of expertise and functional skill sets. The fourth pillar, which has been booming for the last 10 years, is compliance and risk analysis. Because there have been more frauds and breaches, compliance has become more and more stringent in the banking sector, especially because we have regulators and we have compliance guidelines. So RegTech specialist is a really, really cool job to have right now because they are the ones who implement regulatory technology solutions for banks for efficient use and compliance management issues. The second in the category would be a risk advisor, but this is more around cybersecurity risk advisor. So we have a whole team at CIBC, a 150-member team who does risk analysis for us before we launch any more products and services. And the third one would be a compliance officer for digital assets. Like I mentioned before, your digital products and services are very different from your traditional banking products and services. So we need somebody who understands the compliance requirements for those digital products. And the fifth one, where I work very, very closely with the teams right now, is DevOps and architect. Because we are creating open banking and AI-based services, we need solutions architect that can design and implement financial technology system to solve complex business challenges. We also need API developers who can design and develop open banking APIs that are secure, scalable, and user-friendly. And then we need a site reliability engineer. That's basically the bread and butter of digital banking to make sure that there is availability of services 24/7 for the CIBC.com clients. Because if the website goes down, it's a very bad branding exercise for us. It's a very sickening customer experience, and we don't want to face any of that. So site reliability engineer basically ensures that the site is up and running. And if there is one IP address that's down, we have backups, and we have backups for every other backup, and the wireframes are working perfectly. So all that can come together. So I would say in the new realm of work, there are these 5 very distinct pillars where you would definitely find something of interest to you and you are able to, find a career. Now, what skills do employers like CIBC look for when we want to hire somebody in the more financial technology space? I can tell you personally by my experience, when I hire somebody, this is the order of magnitude that I go by. First is, do you have the basic technical skills? What I mean by technical skills, if I'm hiring you to do an analyst job, or if I'm hiring to do some sort of data analysis for me or data visualization for me or some sort of reporting for me, I want people to be able to have a background into programming languages. Now you can do a Python, R, Java, SQL, or you can have a data visualization certificate, getting you proficiency into Power BI, Tableau, ClickSense. Like I said, because we are also looking at ways to embed AI into all of our client, customer, and employee experiences. You're looking for AI prompt engineers as well as people who understand large language models, can work around with them, NLP practitioners, and how can we club all of these together to create a very superior client experience and a client proposition. After you have the technical skills is when we look at business skills. Do you have any sort of product management skills or background? Do you have your CSPO certification, which is a certified Scrum product owner certification? Do you have any sort of digital marketing or growth hacking certification? And do you have requisite knowledge of the Canadian regulatory landscape? The reason we focus a lot of certification is because Canada is a very certificate driven economy. So even if you have demonstrated track record of delivering high value experiences based out of all of this, my personal experience being a newcomer in 2021 was unless I had my CSPO, there were very little interviews that I was getting for my role. So I would say there is no denying the fact that all of you are incredibly talented. It's just that understanding your level playing field and understanding the rules of the game will actually help you get a lead instead of resisting them. So that's why I was focusing more on if you have business skills, have some certificate to back up your business skills. And then the third one, which is the most important for me when I hire, is the soft skills. Do you have the problem solving capability? Are you adaptable? Because I can tell you from my experiences of working in Canada in the last 3.5 years is everything changes and everything changes fast. That if you're somebody who resists changes, you'll find it incredibly difficult to work with the government, with all the lead banks, with the regulator, with the FCAC, with the Canadian Advisory Board. Like it is really challenging. So we need somebody who's very adaptable. We also need somebody with very strong stakeholder management skills in this country. And the reason I say that is because Canada is a very collaborative economy. And so we work with a lot of our partners and a lot of our stakeholders and a lot of our clients. So it is very important to have extremely good stakeholder management and relationship management skills in Canada. So I would say if you have the right technical skills, topped up with the right level of business skills and certifications, and you can somehow in your conversations and in your day-to-day interactions show that you also have the leadership soft skills, it becomes a really, really easy way to get your foot in the door or maybe to get to the next level of promotion. Now, strategies to stay in the know, invest in yourself. So I created this. So this is a copy from what I showed my team when they were coming to me to say, hey, what do I do next to get promoted? And I thought that all of you can also benefit from the information that I had put together for the team. So one is stay informed. Like I said, things change really, really quickly in Canada. Like look at Justin Trudeau. From October to today, we have had a prime ministerial change. We don't know when the election is going to happen. We don't know what the budget is going to look like. And similarly for the US, for our cross-border friends, we don't know what the tariff implication for Canada is. It keeps on changing every single week. So being informed is your biggest superpower. How you can do that if you're interested in the financial services or the financial technology services, there are numerous publications to help you get access to the information that you require. The first one is Financial Post, Finextra, Payments Canada for updates on all of the big initiatives in Canada. Now, JPMC does a really good job of publishing reports around payments. So JPMC is JP Morgan Chase. And one of their reports that I urge everybody looking for a career in payments and services is Payments Are Eating the World. It was published in 2021, a phenomenal report. So please read that. You can also set up Google Alerts on your phone around to look for hashtags like Canada Banking News, Canada FinTech News, Canada Government News, Canada Digital News. And so you will get information delivered right in your inbox, but please stay informed. Second is, like I said earlier, upskilling and certification is your key to land that next interview or to have that next conversation with a business leader. So for AI and blockchain, there are numerous courses on Coursera, which is for free. I think you can audit the course for free, but if you need a certification, you need to pay the fee. And then Udemy offers a lot of certification courses in AI applications for finance, blockchain banking, and cybersecurity. So you can look at doing some of those. For specialized training, especially for RPA, there are courses that are being sponsored by your organizations itself, so you can tap into some of those. And then for cybersecurity credentials, I think right now the CISSP or the Certified Information System Security Professional is a really cool one. So you can look at that. And if you still need a different certification, feel free to reach out to me after the webinar. I'm more than happy to figure out what would work for your specific case, and we can get you started. Um, Also join professional communities. I think most of us, when we land here new, we are so absorbed by finding our first job is we forget the fact that just by virtue of being a newcomer, we have given up on our social security net. We have no social equity in this country when we come. And so joining professional communities can A, help you stay informed, B, can give you some of those natural connections and those organic connections that you might be missing. And C, it gives you exposure into the larger world of Canadian banking as to what is happening. So, a couple of organizations that I'm a part of, and I think most people should, if they are interested in this space, is the Canadian FinTech Association. You can participate in events to learn from fintech leaders driving innovation like embedded finance, open banking, digital banking. The second one is Open Banking Initiative Canada, or OBIC. You can engage in discussions about open banking or just consumer access to secure data systems. And the third one is Women in Payments. You can join mentorship programs there. There are a lot more professional communities, which I just listed down these three because these three are the largest and with a lot of mentorship programs for newcomers. So you might find them helpful. And fourth is please leverage your digital tools. For somebody looking for a career in regulatory space or cybersecurity space or financial technology space, please use digital banking platforms. There's a lot of YouTube demo videos on the new financial services and products that a lot of us launch. So just by watching the YouTube demo, you should be able to understand the underlying technology, how the product works. So next time when you have a conversation with somebody, it just makes it easier to say, hey, I noticed you were using this technology. By the way, back home, I also learned something which was similar, XYZ. So it just gives you an opening point, and it also shows the other person that A, you're invested in them, B, that you're keeping up to date and you're informed, and C, that you're genuinely interested. So explore a ton of things. There's a lot of free services, a lot of free products out there in the market, especially by our fintech partners. So please try to explore that. So these are the 4 strategies that I think can definitely help any newcomer in their journey. And then this one is, how do you own your career in financial services? I'll start with the bad news first. When I came to Canada in 2021, so I actually came here in December 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. There was nobody who was willing to have a coffee chat. There was nobody who was willing to, tell me anything about how things work in Canada. And you guys are so fortunate to have JVS and all of these organizations do these webinars for you. There was nothing that was happening during the time of COVID because I think people were more worried about securing their own jobs and keeping to their own jobs rather than helping newcomers. So it was a really difficult time. And the one thing that only helped me are all of these 6 things that I've tried to put together for you today. A was understanding the financial services landscape. I read like crazy, like crazy. I used to read everything and anything that would catch my fancy about the Canadian economy or the banking in Canada, or why is it called an oligopoly, or just the structure of Canadian economy, that it is more of a buyer's economy than a seller's economy. And that helped me with my speaking points whenever I had the opportunity to connect with a leader in the space. Then build relevant skills. Like I shared, I had 14 years of progressive work experience. I was an executive vice president in a couple of countries. And when I came to Canada, I was not getting an interview call for a product manager role even. That was heartbreaking, to say the least. But the one thing that kept me going was, it's okay. I understand how the economy works. I know how the job market works. I'll just build in on my relevant skills and I'll get my foot in the door, which is somewhere closer to where I want to be. And then I'll build it from there. So my first job with CIBC was a senior manager position. Imagine from an EVP to a senior manager, but I just took that position because I had faith in my capabilities. And I said, if I get to the right opportunity and if I get to the right level of delivery, they will see my value. And that is exactly what I did. My first assignment with CIBC was to launch the CIBC Costco MasterCard, one of the biggest credit card acquisitions that CIBC has ever done in their 150-year history. And because I delivered on that project within 11 months of joining the bank, I got promoted as the director for open banking strategy. So building relevant skills really helped me. I leveraged my education and certifications. I did my CSPO after coming to Canada because that was just my way to demonstrate that I'm a very capable product owner and I'm a very capable business leader. Network strategically. I think I'll keep this one for our Q&A because I would be very curious to hear what do you understand by networking strategically? Fifth, understand the hidden job market. I think all of us professionals on the call, including Sachin, who got me to this webinar, thank you, Sachin, would attest to the fact that there is a hidden job market in Canada. And what I
Yes.
mean, thanks, Sachin. What I mean by that is when you see a job being posted online, there for every job that you posted online, there is a job that has not been posted yet, but people know who they want to hire. I know it is unfair and I know that that's not justifiable, but that's what it is. And so, like I said, the sooner you understand the realities of the game you're playing, the easier it will be for you to play the game. So, networking strategically will help you understand the hidden job market and position yourself as the right candidate even before the job gets posted, because then it becomes a cakewalk to get that job. And I cannot emphasize more on you have to volunteer your time, you have to attend events, and you have to get your foot in the door. Please, 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 this is my humble request, being a fellow newcomer a couple of years ago. If you think that you deserve the same position from your previous country, I agree that you do, but that's just not the reality of Canada. You would hurt yourself if you are like, no, but I need only an executive position, or I have 17 years of work experience. Why should I take a manager position? Please take something, because the longer you wait, understand that the longer is your gap in your employment resume. And the more difficult task would be to justify that gap. So take something, move up a couple chains, take a break, again, take something, but just continue moving forward because I personally believe it is progress over perfection. So with that, I think we can open up to your questions.
Thank you very much, Shruti. That was incredible and inspiring at the same time. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your experience with us. It's so important to let newcomers know how to put themselves correctly to make sure they are getting the best networking opportunities to leverage their skills. This was really insightful. Thank you very much. So for everyone, if you have questions, you can raise your hand or you can type your question in the Q&A. I have a question for the audience, the question that Shruti asked during her presentation. What do you understand networking strategically is? But I will start with my question for you,
Yeah,
Shruti.
sure.
Yeah, so uh, what are some common challenges that internationally trained professionals face when entering the Canadian finance sector and how they can overcome them? We know there are many challenges when we are a newcomer, but specifically for entering the Canadian finance sector, what do you think are the most common challenges that they can face?
So first one is we have a whole lot of different products and services that are non-existent anywhere else. Like, for example, we have something called as a TFSA, right? Which is
Yeah.
a tax-free savings account. We have something called as an RRSP, which is your registered retirement savings plan. None of the other countries would have had it. So A, understanding the different products and services that Canada has. B, to enter into Canadian financial services, there are two streams, Daniela. So first one is if you want a job, say into a branch banking network, or you want to be a community general manager, or you want to be a community vice president, that means that your job is into the front lines, whether that's a branch or whether that's a banking center or whether that's a call center. You need certain sets of certifications to allow you to work on the shop floor level and work directly with the client. So CSC is one of that certification, which is called the Canadian Securities Course, or the IFIC, which is Investment Funds in Canada. That is a bare prerequisite for you to apply to any of those jobs. And we spell it out very, very clearly when we have those job openings. But a lot of internationally trained professionals, because they have working experience in other countries on the branch banking side, they somehow overlook those requirements.
Yeah.
So understanding and going through the JD and understanding what are some non-negotiable requirements versus something where you can definitely showcase your experience is key. Now, the second work stream, which I was talking about, is all the back-end jobs, something that I have, something that Sachin has, right? So for these kind of jobs, you need certifications to prove your proficiency in that particular area and then demonstrated track record. So I think that's one of the two key challenges. The third challenge is not knowing anybody. So if you're just applying for jobs without being referred to any job or without the hiring manager even knowing you, chances are, Danielle, that we get for every single job that we post. I'm talking about frontline jobs, not even about the creme de la jobs of manager and above in the back end. For every single CSR and FSR position job that we post, we get 500 applications.
Wow. Yeah.
So there's a lot of influx of newcomers and there's a lot of influx of new graduates in Canada, right? So for us to be able to know you is very, very difficult. And nobody goes through all the 500 applications as we know it. So understanding the application tracking system or ATS, redesigning your resume to match up with at least 80% of keywords in the JD to your resume will actually help you get through the ATS and get in the hands of a HR manager. And then your process will start. If you just take your resume, which is, I'm pretty sure, a phenomenal resume, and you apply to every single job using the same resume, chances are you're not getting any interview calls because your resume is getting auto-rejected by a bot.
Yeah.
And I think we are smarter than that.
Yeah.
So use your chat GPTs, use your perplexity AIs, redefine your resume, and then apply for that particular job where there's an 80% match between what the job requirement is and what you offer. So I think that those three would be the biggest challenges that I've seen newcomers face.
Yeah, and that's so true. And it's one of the reasons why in the program we are running monthly ATS webinars because because of our experience with pre-arrival services, we came to understand that most of times clients don't know what ATS is, and this is such an important component for them successfully get at least an interview, right? Getting an interview is the hardest part, and your resume will give you this, will open this door for you if it's written properly. Yeah, thank you so much, Shruti. And you said you don't know the hiring manager, so your resume needs to be at least 80% of the keywords matching the job description. This is, I will come back with this question. Network strategically. So I know that for many cultures, networking is not natural. Right? It's not something that you do day to day. For me, for example, when I first arrived, it was very weird to reach out to someone and say, hey, can we have a 10, 15-minute chat about this role or about this field or this sector? So networking strategically, which tips could you give on how to network strategically to get a job in the finance sector?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Okay. So the reason I wanted to hear from the participants what their understanding of networking strategically is because sometimes we think sending out as many LinkedIn requests is networking. It is not. Because I'm a business leader. To be very frank, I do not like audit. So I would not connect with many people in audit because that's not where I want to be, especially when I'm looking for a job because you have limited time and time is your biggest resource. So what I meant by networking strategically is, are you only networking with people who either are in the profile that you want to be or are a leader in the profile where you want to be and are working in the organization where you aim to be? So you have to network strategically. You have to put filters on your LinkedIn to say, hey, I will only connect with product managers at CIBC because that's where I want to grow my career. Or I will only connect with cybersecurity experts in Canadian banks because that's where I want to be. So that is called networking strategically. And like you said, Daniel, the biggest challenge that I face personally is I'm super committed to helping newcomers. But when you receive, LinkedIn requests like, hey, Shruti, I'm a newcomer. I'm looking for a job. Here's my resume. Let me know if there's a job for me. I don't know how to respond to that because A, it just tells me that you're lazy because you're not doing your own research. You're asking me to go through your resume, then go through my career website at the bank, and then figure out what would work for you.
Yeah.
I don't have that amount of time, right? So I think it's also the way we phrase our first interaction with somebody when we send them a connection request.
Mm.
And so I do this talk with other, organizations where I do a session on networking and I'm like, this is your biggest crime. Like sending out that connection request with the fact that, hey, I'm looking for a job or I'm a newcomer and I want a job is your biggest crime because you have killed that connection even before you had the opportunity to build it.
Yeah.
None of us in our day-to-day jobs, Danielle, have the time to go looking for jobs for other people. But what I would love to do as a mentor and as an advisor to newcomers is if you invest in having that relationship with me, if you give me certain time to understand who you are, what capabilities you bring, I will naturally introduce you to my group and my circle and open doors for you. But if that comes as an entitlement that, hey, I need this, I'm sorry. Like, that's a really rude way of approaching a professional who has no idea about who you are.
Yeah.
Sachin, I see your hand up, and I know you have
Yeah.
some similar stories to share. Why don't you come up on screen?
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to steal your thunder here,
No, no.
Shruti. Thanks so much for doing this. Because I've lived this journey of a newcomer, I thought it's also a good time to give you a break and, just pitch in from my perspective, like what do I mean by networking? And I just wanted to share this tool with everybody. It's very simple. It's very, very simple if you get it once. Life is all about giving and taking, right? So when you trying to reach out to somebody who's new to you or a stranger to you, you always have to look at it from a perspective of giving. The moment you ask for something or you want to take something away from them, that's not a great start to any relationship. Any relationship, forget about a relationship in Canada, Europe, US. Even if you want to date with somebody, you can't start by asking something from them, right? So what is that you are giving them? The simplest thing to give them is thank you, right? Thank you for your time and thank you for accepting my request. That's a great start. As Shruti said, if you start a conversation by asking, it doesn't work that way. Because the moment you ask for their time, it's also asking. The moment you ask you know, for them to look at your resume and give you a guidance, that's also asking. So you have to always look for, hey Sachin, what is that you can give to this person? So if let's do a role play, a quick one. So if I was to reach out to Shruti and ask for her time, I have to say it politely and say, hey Shruti, I looked at your profile, you're doing great in technology, you've done this. So essentially you're giving them a compliment. Give. So again, concentrate on what you're giving to that person. So you're starting with a give. You're giving them a compliment for what they've accomplished as a professional. And now comes the ask. And the ask has to be very simple. Can I can I ask you for a 20-minute virtual coffee? Can we grab a coffee over a virtual chat for 20 minutes? So you are keeping your ask to only 20 minutes and you're showing to that person that I'm being respectful of your time. So these were the only two things that I wanted to share with you, that always look at your conversation from give and ask. And always start with a give, not with a ask, because that'll make your life very simple. Be respectful. Giving respect to somebody is also giving. Giving compliment to somebody is also giving. Telling them, hey, listen, I've spent 20 years of my life or 15 years of my life doing this in my home country. Do you mind if I share from my own experiences, which probably would be helpful for your experience also? Why would I not take it? Somebody reaching out to me saying, hey, Sachin, I want to give you 10 minutes of my time and tell you my story from my home country, how you can do well as a professional. That's also giving. So I'll just keep it at that. And over to you, Shruti.
My goodness, Sachin, you should look at the number of hearts you receive. It was
Yeah.
fantastic advice. Very
Really?
well put.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so insightful. And while you two were speaking, it just came to my mind. This is another soft skills that we all need to have, not just newcomers, but everyone. We need to be resourceful. We need to be polite. We need to be proactive because in the end of the day, we are building relationships. And when you want to build a long-lasting relationship, you need to be respectful of each other's time and each other's capability of supporting and helping. So this is very insightful. We are running out of time. This was amazing. Whenever we are listening to such a strong presentation and insightful presentation, times go by, right? So I would like to thank you so much, Shruti, for your time, for your availability to talk to our participants. This was really helpful. Thank you so much for being here with us. And Sachin, again, thank you so much for making this possible. I will share in the chat the link for our survey. I will kindly ask for our participants to answer the survey, just 3 quick questions. So this can help us to make our webinars even better for the future. So your input is really appreciated. Thank you so much for both of you for being with us today. Thank you so much for the audience for your availability as well. I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Daniel.
Bye. Thank you,
Thank
Shruti.
you.
Thanks,
Bye
Daniel.
bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. We really appreciate your presentation. Thank you so much.